those endless days, those sacred days you gave me. I'm thinking of the days. I won't forget a single day, believe me. Days I remember all my life. Days when you can't see wrong from right. You took my love, but then I knew that very soon you'd leave me. But it's alright, now I'm not frightened of this world, believe me. Thank you for the days, those endless days, those sacred days you gave me. I'm thinking of the days. I won't forget a single day, believe me. I bless the light, I bless the light that shines on you, believe me. And though you're gone, you're with me every single day, believe me.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Thank you for joining us on this live stream. That music always gets me in a good mood, so I'm ready well, I'm super excited for this one. Really interested to hear what Miriam has to say. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Daniel Evans. I'm Chief Executive here at Beck. Part of these live streams, part of these opportunities is about really sharing with you and your businesses some of the fantastic opportunities that there are. In particular, with some of our international work, we like to focus on opportunities in other markets, places where you can look to grow your businesses. And we've got a really special one today. So I would like to introduce you all and say hello to Miriam Stern from the Embassy of the Dominican Republic in the United Kingdom. Hello, Miriam.
Hi, thank you, Daniel. Thank you for having me today.
No, you're welcome. How are you this afternoon? All good?
All good, all good. I'm super excited to be here as well and, talk a little bit about everything, all the opportunities you can find in the Dominican Republic.
Fantastic. So how we're going to work this is you're going to kind of take us through a little bit of information about some opportunities. We're then going to have a bit of time at the end for a bit of a chat, bit of Q&A. So any questions that anybody has along the way, whether you're watching on LinkedIn, on X, and then he said Twitter or YouTube, what you can do is type your questions in the chat. We'll pick them up, and after Miriam's presentation, we'll have a look at some of those questions. So please do share your questions. Miriam, it is over to you.
Thank you so much. Again, thanks, Daniel, for having me here today and to the Birmingham enterprise community. It's always exciting to talk about the Dominican Republic and everything we have to offer. I have a presentation in a couple of slides, and I'm very excited to see if anyone has questions afterwards. So let's get right to it. I'm going to share my screen. I hope everyone can see it there. So Dominican Republic, a country of opportunities. It's important to clear out to say that this is a presentation made by the Embassy of the Dominican Republic. I'm, as Daniel was saying, the Director of Trade there, and I work at the commercial section along with my colleagues Antonio Castillo and Wagner Mendez. And we all work with Ambassador Enya Duran to promote the Dominican Republic here in the United Kingdom. And one of the things that we want to do is basically tell people about the Dominican Republic and all the exciting opportunities we have there. So when you hear about the Dominican Republic, I hope that the first thing that comes to mind are our beautiful beaches. We have our slogan, Dominican Republic has it all. And that's what I really want to emphasize in today's presentation. Dominican Republic really and truly has it all. We have the beaches, we have the beautiful, the tourism side of the industry, but we also have the logistics, the business. And that is what I'm here to talk about today. Like, what do we have to offer from a business point of view, particularly to companies in the UK, in Birmingham? And if you're looking to expand internationally, why you should pick Dominican Republic as that first place to set shop and then expand to the rest of the region. So we are a small country. We have 48,442 square kilometers. So we're small, but we're in the heart of the Caribbean. We are strategically placed in the heart of the Caribbean, as I said before, between North America, South America, and close to Central America. So it's easy to reach the other parts of the region. And even though we're a small country, we have a lot of people. It's a population of more than 11 million. But it's important that all the Dominicans are very welcoming. We're really warm, and we're open for business. We really, really are a country with a very skilled workforce looking for those new opportunities to come into the DR and businesses to expand. We also have a resilient economy. We have a 5.2 real GDP growth, GDP of $127 billion. And our inflation is actually in 4% as of February 2024, which is within the target of the central bank. So it's an economy that's been growing. We're the fastest growing economy in the Caribbean region. And that is thanks to our industry and how that the economy is shaped. And not only do we have the economic stability, but we are also a democratic and stable government. And that has been going on. That doesn't change. We understand how important is stability when it comes to business. So we've always been very clear that it's important to have institutions and a democracy and a stable government. So as I was saying before, it's the highest economy in the highest growing economy in the region. And why are we so good with our economic growth? It's precisely because of our diversity. And this is what you can see in this slide. So 24% of our economy goes to, or obviously, tourism. That might be the thing that really, that people think about immediately when they think about the DR. Hotels, bar, restaurants. But we also have 5.4% in free zones. I'll speak about those in a minute. Financial services of 5.8, transport and storage 6.4, and health 11.3%. So it's very diverse, and that helps us manage that risk when it comes to economic growth. So we have also signed a number of trade and commercial agreements throughout the years. We have our Dear CAFTA, the partial agreement of Panama, but more importantly, when it comes to UK businesses, we have the Economic Partnership Agreement between the United Kingdom and CARIFORUM. And that is an agreement that businesses in the Dominican Republic and in the UK should take advantage of. I cannot say this enough. It's there to be used. And the fact that we've signed and we've ratified these agreements allows access to more than 900 million consumers around the world. So you stud shop in the Dominican Republic, as I said before, and you can make use of these numerous agreements. The DR is leader in a variety of products. So we're the first, number one in the world's largest cigar exporter, first exporter of electrical switches to the United States, the world's largest exporter of ultraviolet ray devices, the largest exporter of iron or non-alloy steel bars in the world, and the largest exporter of cotton fabric in the world. Like I said before, we might be a small country in the heart of the Caribbean, but we have so much potential. Also, the Dominican Republic being very strategic about this potential, and because of the importance that we know that we know logistics sector has in particular, we also have facilities for opening businesses in the Dominican Republic. So 1 day for the registration of the company name, 1 day for the registration of the commercial registry, and 10 days for the registration before the National Taxpayer Registry. It's very important that documents need to be translated and they need to have the apostille. But if everything goes right, you can basically have your company up and going within a month. So that's also super important for us when it comes to selling the country to businesses and having businesses come over to the Dominican Republic and setting their headquarters there, or at least they're setting a branch there. Legislation is also key for foreign direct investment, right? So we also have very strategic laws in place. So we have the Foreign Investment Law, which protects investor rights. We have the law for incentives for the promotion of free zones, incentives for the promotion of film, incentives for the promotion of solid waste projects, incentives for tourism development, and we have incentives in renewable energy, which I'm going to talk about a little bit in a couple of slides. And our FDI, the foreign direct investment that comes into the Dominican Republic, is distributed also in a variety of sectors. So again, tourism is the main sector, where we have a 22.4%. Most of the investment coming into the tourist sector is coming from Spain. We have a 13.5% in commerce and industry, a 10.1% in real estate, 8.4% free zones, 27.2% in energy, and in the financial sector, we have 2.6%. And we're looking to increase FDI coming into the Dominican Republic precisely because of that strategic location I've been talking about, and with the legal framework in place to incentivize this. Our priority sectors, as you might have guessed from the previous slide, is in film, financial services, free zone and logistics, tourism, and renewable energies. So because we have the framework in place, particularly for incentives in these sectors, those have become our priority sectors, particularly when it comes to free zones and logistics, renewable energies, and tourism. Those three are like the three pillars. When it comes to free zones, people sometimes ask me, what exactly are they? So through the free zones, companies become competitive at a global stage. So they are geographical areas within the Dominican Republic under special customs and tax controls. So you need special licenses that are granted to companies in order for them to allocate the production of goods or services to foreign markets in the free zones. And they are extremely important. Just so you get an idea of the main indicators, through the creation of when companies set the shop in these free zones, they help contribute to the creation of jobs. So the free zones in the Dominican Republic are responsible for direct jobs and more than 220,000 indirect jobs. 53% of total exports with a higher value than $8,630 million. We have a cumulative investment of more than $6,730 million from the US, the very DR, Canada, the UK, Germany, Brazil, China, among others. And more than 778 companies are currently operating in 83 parks around the country. The parks are the actual free zones. So as you can see, there are distributed all around the Dominican Republic, and they're incredibly important when it comes to business and trade. So of the top 500 global brands, around 300 operate in the Dominican free zones. From Clark's to Aldo, we have three particular UK companies: Combatech, Menzies Aviation, and Purple Tangerine. Altogether, these companies export more than 2,631 exported products in 2021 to more than 156 countries all around the world. So they're very active, and again, they're very important. And companies benefit from going into the free zones, setting their companies within the free zones, so they can benefit as well from the tax incentives. Now, the Dominican Republic, as I was saying, because of its strategic location, it has the best connectivity of the Caribbean region. We post ourselves as the logistics hub of the Caribbean. We have 8 international airports, 320 daily flights, 12 cargo ports, and 3 cruise ports. So it is, as you can see, easy to connect with the rest of the region. But also, not only do we have the ports, airports, but we also have the roads within the country. So we have highways, we have primary roads and secondary roads that basically connect the whole country to the main, from airport to airport, from port to port. So it's easy to move your merchandise throughout the country. As I was saying, we have 320 daily flights with direct service to more than 30 countries, 80 cities, and over 120 airports. So from the Dominican Republic to Florida, it's air 2 hours and 2 to 3 days by sea. Well, when it comes to Europe, it's air 8 hours, and through sea it's 7 to 9 days, and 90 ships per week with direct routes to North America, the European continent, Asia, the Caribbean, and South America. I do want to take a space within this presentation to talk a little bit about how important logistics are for the Dominican Republic. They are so important that next month we have our Dominican Republic Logistics Summit. It's going to take place the 17th and 18th of April. And this summit is going to be attended by a whole lot of global players. We're going to have key players from the Dominican Republic logistics sector, like airports and airlines, importers and exporters, ports and shipping lines. We're going to have port agents there. And it's going to be an extraordinary opportunity to know a little bit more about exactly how the Dominican Republic is truly the logistics hub of the region. This is targeted to decision makers from international companies and industries from around the world involved in cargo generation. But if you want to have any more information, It's really easy to get into their website, drls2024.com, and I've also shared a QR code so that people can easily access more information and know how to register if they want to do so. It's going to be great opportunity. The summit is going to be in English, and it's going to have plenty of keynote speakers that are coming from the global stage. And then the other thing that I also want to highlight is another reason we have free zones as one of our pillar and strategic sectors when it comes to FDI, but we also have renewable energies. And Dominican Republic is leading the fight against climate change in the region as well. We're very well aware that climate change has a great impact, and we want to fight climate change precisely because the Dominican Republic is an island in the middle of the Caribbean. So we reaffirmed our commitment to achieving the objectives of the Paris Agreement under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And in our nationally determined contributions, the Dominican Republic commits to a 27% reduction in greenhouse gases by 2030. So we understand the importance of actually implementing within our electric grid renewable energies, and in that regard, there are very clear opportunities in renewable energies in the DR. So we have a number of projects related to biomass, to solar, to gas and wind, and we have tax incentives for people investing in these renewable energies. So 100% exemption on imports and VAT and all taxes, on final sales, on imported equipment and machinery, and transformation, transmission, and interconnection equipment, among others. I know the presentation is going to be there, so I'm not going to bore you with the rest of the tax incentives, but they're there. And they're there precisely because we want more investment to come in when it comes to renewable energies. We also have successful projects such as the Solar Park Matisol, Solar Park Mata de Palma, Washington Capitol Solar Park, among others. So it is a sector that we highly prioritize. And just to end on a very good note, the DR has received a number of international recognitions. So, for example, S&P Global mentioned the Dominican government has achieved a new milestone that puts it closer to the desired investment grade after, for the first time in its history, the country achieved the BB credit rating. So our country is very aware of how important the credit rating is to attract FDI. The IMF has said that the Dominican Republic has experienced a robust recovery from the pandemic, supported by well-sequenced policies, an agile reopening, and growth in the global economy. And the World Tourism Organization recognized the DR as the #1 country in the world in tourism recovery. So we've really, as I said before, we are well aware of how important our tourism sector and stability is to attract FDI. So the government has always had a very clear mind of the actions to take place in order to achieve this, to keep that political and economic stability going. So the other thing that I want to highlight in this presentation, and with this I'm kind of ending so that we can get to the comments and we can talk about more casually. But we also have our investment promotion agency, our export and investment promotion agency, Pro Dominicana, and they have developed an investment guide. So this investment guide is super useful to anyone that wants more information on what they need to do to properly invest in the Dominican Republic. You can find it within the Pro Dominicana website, but I've also created this QR code where you can find the guide. It tells you if you want to set up a free zone or you want to set up a company in a free zone. It gives you all the steps to take, and it explains a little bit more in depth the main aspects of setting shop in the Dominican Republic. Last but not least, if you need any further information, I'm more than happy to talk a little bit more about what I've mentioned in this presentation. I am in the investment sector in the embassy. So my main priority is to attract British investment to the Dominican Republic. And for that, I can connect you via our Ministry of Foreign Affairs to the right people. But you can also, if you're interested in importing Dominican goods from the Dominican Republic, you can contact my colleagues Antonio Castillo and Wagner Mendez. You have our contact information right there. It's very easy. mstern@dominicanembassy.org.uk in my case. And that's a little bit of what I wanted to bring to the table today. I hope the messaging has been clear. We are open for business. I'm more than happy to have a more in-depth chat further down the line. And thank you again for giving me this opportunity. I'm always happy to promote the Dominican Republic and everything we have to offer.
Awesome. No, that's fantastic. I think it's one of the things I mentioned to you when I last saw you around some of the events I've been to, so like the Dominicana Week. What stands out to me is the passion, enthusiasm people have for the DR is awesome.
We tend to be very passionate.
Yeah, which I love, because it does create this, and I think it creates a sense of welcoming as well. Is that it's, and as you've kind of shown through this, you want companies to come, you want companies to engage, you're welcoming them in.
And it's our job at the embassy to facilitate that, So we're here, as I said at the end of my presentation, we're here to connect people in the UK, so British companies with the right people back at home, so that we can keep promoting trade and business between the UK and the Dominican Republic. That's our main priority, and we're happy to do it. It's always, I always mention this to my other colleagues, it's easy when you have an easy product to pitch. And in this case, pitching the Dominican Republic is a no-brainer.
That makes a lot of sense. So whilst we wait for some questions to come in, first one from my side. So if companies kind of take a look at this and think, yes, that's actually an opportunity I'd love to take advantage of and explore, where do you think the starting point is for a company to start exploring these opportunities?
So the first thing, contact us. We will basically, we'll guide you all throughout the process. I think it's a good thing if they can look into the investment guide and see if they're interested in one sector in particular, because depending on the sector, then we can connect you with the right people in that sector. Again, throughout the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we have a giant database of people within certain sectors, and then we can provide that connection. But I think that would be it. Like, let us know, send us a message. We're always available to have a chat, have a look at the investment guide, and then we're there to basically take you by the hand and get you throughout the process. But I think it's also important that they're clear on what sector in particular the company is interested in.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. One question that we've had in through X here is around visas and what sort of visas, if you're doing business in the DR, you might need.
So, okay, that's a question that I have to go back to. There's probably, so we do have a particular visa for businesses, but I need to check. Like, that's not something that's my area, so I need to get back on you on that one.
But you could always link in with somebody who would know.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that the takeaway here is, if you're interested in setting up shop in the DR, then we can help you, connect you with the right people that would look into the visa aspect as well.
Yeah, and I think it's a general piece of advice we always give businesses when they're looking at new markets. Almost stuff like that, like stage 2, is you can have you can have conversations via Zoom and Teams and that sort of thing to get the ball rolling, explore the opportunities first.
And it's always good to know that if you're interested in the country and you've done, like, if you already know that you want to explore the Dominican Republic, we're happy to have a trade mission go into the DR. We can organize that. We can organize that with Pro Dominicana, and UK legal residents do not need, UK nationals or UK legal residents don't need a visa to go into the Dominican Republic as tourists. So you wouldn't need that in the first stage, in the very beginning for a trade mission to go explore the country. You wouldn't need it there, but further down the line, we can look into these kind of things with more detail.
Fantastic. Another question I've got, Glenn, this is always an interesting one. Do you need to have a good, I can't read, oh my God. Do you need to have a good level of Spanish, or can you get by with English doing business in the DR?
So we are actually one of the countries with our skill force has a high percentage of English speakers. So within the free zones, you could actually, if you're going to set up a company there, you could get by with very basic Spanish. In the business world, usually most people will be speaking English. Like, as I told you before with the logistics summit, they're well aware of the importance of English. So the summit is in English. So that actually gives you a pretty good idea of how English is something that's important in the business world, in the DR as well. So you might want some basic Spanish, yes, but you could get by fairly well with English.
Fantastic. And please do feel free to keep these questions coming in as we go.
I love these questions. They're always challenging.
You always have to think on the spot a little, don't you? So whilst we're waiting for another one to come in, one I'll ask. So one of the things, again, we see regularly is situations around things like bank accounts. So from a business perspective, is that something that's quite easy to do or difficult, opening a bank account in DR?
Opening a bank account is fairly easy. We also have banks that are now, well, we actually have our first digital bank, proper digital bank from one of the banking groups in the Dominican Republic. So setting up an account is relatively easy. That can be done. I don't know the exact timings, and I wouldn't dare speak about timings, but it's become, again, because we put so much emphasis on the importance of doing business, it's become relatively easy. It's not hard to open a bank account over there.
That's awesome. And you'd already in the presentation gone over that, because the other question we always get with that is registration of companies, but you've already covered that in the presentation, and actually,
yeah. I do want to highlight that obviously the times can vary, but if you have all your paperwork in order, so if all the documents, because the registry will be in Spanish, so you need to have the documents translated and apostilled. But if you have the corresponding paperwork, it shouldn't take more than what I said in the presentation.
And can that all be done remotely? So do you need to be in DR, or can you do that remotely?
You do need a legal counsel in the Dominican Republic to do it.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, but you don't, if I was to set up tomorrow, I wouldn't need to physically be in DR.
No, you don't. No, you just give power of attorney to a legal counselor in the Dominican Republic, and they should be able to handle everything. In my past life as a lawyer working in a law firm, I used to do I got to do a couple of foreign companies in the DR.
Fantastic. A question I've had in here from YouTube. Is it true that there is a cap/limit on the number of renewable energy solar projects that can be started in the DR? I've been told that it's not possible to add any new solar farms to the country.
I need to get back on you on that one. I need to check with the Energy Commission.
So that would be one you'd recommend.
Yeah,
dropping an email on.
Yeah, that's something we, as I said before, we have really good contacts with the Energy Commission as well. So if there are any questions, particularly on solar energy, solar farms, then yes, you have my email. I would be very happy to attend to that one directly.
Awesome, fantastic. Again, keep asking these questions coming in through. One I will ask, you mentioned one of the industries and something that we have, they've just messaged again, so they'll email you, so fantastic. So one of the obviously the big growth and strong sectors that we have here is creative, film, TV, and you mentioned around there's some really great stuff going on. Maybe a little bit more information, what opportunities or what that sector looks like in the DR.
Yeah, so when it comes to the film industries, we in our last Dominican, not the last one, the Dominican Republic, Dominican Week in 2023 was about the orange economy and all the opportunities that the Dominican Republic has in the creative industries. When it comes to film, we have companies that will provide services to you throughout the whole film editing, post editing. So we have companies that are specialized in that. We have tax incentives, and I can get a little bit more details about the tax incentives in a couple of minutes if you give me a chance. But we also have, for example, filming facilities and ideal filming locations. So the Dominican Republic has a standard weather throughout the year, which also helps when you're doing filming within the country. But we also have the largest indoor pool for when it comes to filming scenes that require the water installations. So we have that as well. Give me just 1 second. Oh, give me 1 second, and I'll get back to you with the other incentives. So that's a little bit, but because I have the list is here, and when it comes to the film industries in particular, it's something we've had a couple of important movies filmed there recently. Like, for example, the last Sandra Bullock movie was filmed there. So yeah, so it is when it comes to the film industry, we do have a lot to offer. But I want to get into just a second. You know what? I'm going to go into the investment guide and just tell you.
Awesome. And whilst Miriam loads that up, I will obviously emphasize once again, please do send any comments, questions through. If you're watching this back after we finished, obviously you've got the contact details and stuff as well. So send questions through or anything that you want to discuss.
So, for example, with the film industry, deduction of 100% of the real value invested against the income tax, limited to 25% of tax payable, among others, exemption from the VAT for goods, services, and or leases directly related to the pre-production, production, and post-production of cinematographic and audiovisual works. A tax credit of 25% of all expenses incurred in the Dominican Republic. That tax credit is usually one of the most attractive ones for people investing in the film industry in the DR. So those are a couple of the incentives, but you can find the rest as well in the investment guide.
Fantastic, that's awesome. Another question that's come in: what opportunities are available in the tech sector?
I love the tech sector. That one is very close to my heart. Daniel knows this because I come from the banking and tech sector. So depending on what you mean by opportunities in the tech sector, but for example, we have an up and coming fintech community. We have an association of Dominican fintechs in the DR. And those fintechs, they cover a number of what we call verticals, whether it's payment, paytech or insurtech, we have opportunities in all of those sectors. There are Dominican crowdfunding fintech companies. We also have quite a number of companies that provide services like regarding analysis of data. So there is opportunity in the tech sector, particularly when it comes to the payment system, when it comes to adding value to the payment chain of value, as we call it, or the payment chain. So yeah, depending on what you mean, but we also have an institution that's dedicated to tech. The Dominican president, Luis Abinader, recently or a couple of months ago, he talked about how Dominican Republic really wants to get on board the whole whether it's designing microprocessors or be a hub for the assembling of those microprocessors. So yeah, the Dominican Republic is quite an up and coming country when it comes to technology opportunities, depending on which sector within tech you're
In which
talking about.
sector?
But
So we've got
of
that
course
narrowed down a little bit more, something quite niche. Any opportunities in drone-related tech?
And you know, when I talk about this, and again, I'm very passionate about it, but Dominicans are very well connected. We have one of the best telecommunications sector in the region as well. So everyone has a smartphone. I think the latest statistics talked about 99%, 95, 99% of the population actually had a smartphone, and not not everyone has a banking account. So there is a very good opportunity to close the gap between people that actually don't have banking accounts but have a smartphone. So companies that are in that sector in particular actually have quite a lot that they can develop in the Dominican Republic and help financial inclusion.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And anything on that one, just at the end, drone tech or drone technologies?
Drone technology.
Yeah.
What exactly is the question in
Any
that?
opportunities in drone-related technology?
I mean, that's a very particular one. I'm not aware if so. I don't have too much information on that. I know that there's a lot of drone technology being used in the Dominican Republic. For example, in the concerts, you see the drone art. You have a lot of drone technology being used in the film industry, but I'm not too sure. I mean, opportunities can be explored, obviously. So, but I'd love to hear more about what exactly the proposal is, and we can talk about it. Like again, that can be another email, and we can have a chat to explore that more in depth.
Fantastic.
I mean, again, sorry to interrupt you. Like, yeah, so in the DR, we do have all these new technologies. We're very excited to see them applied. So yeah, it's always good to have a further chat with the people in the sector and see what more there is to do.
So they've narrowed it a little more. It keeps kind of narrowed down. Agriculture drone. So I guess from an agricultural perspective, kind of what's going on, is there opportunities in that space?
There are so many opportunities in the agricultural sector, and I'm glad that they've narrowed it down to agriculture, because actually my ambassador would be really happy to talk about this. He's an expert in the banana sector. But there are so many opportunities. So when it comes to agriculture, it's important to highlight it's actually the goods that are most exported from the Dominican Republic to the UK are agricultural products. The Dominican Republic is quite agriculture is very important in the Dominican Republic. So we export our bananas, avocados, mangoes. They come to the UK, and we do have a number of agricultural investments, in particular, like so for example, in the pineapple sector, in the tomato sector, cacao or cocoa is also a sectors where there's a lot of investment opportunity. There are quite a number of projects in investment agriculture. Use of drone for investment, use of drones for agricultural purposes. That's something that also we can explore with further detail through an email, because obviously I'm not an expert on it, but because of the importance of agricultural in Dominican experts, I'm sure there's more to talk about.
I think the common theme, and like you mentioned around the kind of banking sector, it is a country that is open to adopting innovation. So
yes.
These technologies that perhaps are, have been around a little bit in maybe countries like the UK. Actually, the DR feels like in some sectors are at the phase where it's right. We're ready to really embrace these techs at a bigger scale.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy to if they want to send me an email as well, I'd be happy to talk about that.
Oh, interesting. We've got quite a long one here, so I'm gonna go through this with you. So we're a social impact fintech. We're launching. We are launching hiring agencies globally, which we give the hiring fee back to the worker over 24 months, whilst we build them a free asset portfolio. Is there a financial conduct hub or innovation support for helping become regulated to run a fund? Are there any benefits to support a social impact, especially if we create high-skilled jobs?
I would tell that person to send that to my email, because I don't want to talk any particular proposal here in the channel.
Sure.
But I really think they should, like, please have them send the comment directly to me, and we can chat about that with, in person, or have a call. So I heard a little bit of, it's financial related, right? So there's a little bit,
Yes.
when it comes to financial, just bear in mind, depending on the financial service you're offering in the Dominican Republic, it might be regulated by one or another regulator. We have the banking regulator and we have the capital markets regulator. I heard something about funds there. So if it's a fund, it's probably going to fall under the capital markets regulator. But then I need more details. So this is something
Sure.
that,
Yeah.
again, I don't want to get into a lot of details here in the chat, but please have them send me an email. More than welcome. I think the main point to reiterate or highlight is that I want to have these people come to me so that we can actually iron out the whatever detail or whatever concern. We can talk them more directly.
And they've messaged you just saying thanks. We'll do so. Yeah, they'll drop you an email.
Amazing.
Okay, so I think what we'll do, I'm going to ask you one more question, and we're going to wrap up. One of the things I'd highlight to anyone watching locally from the kind of Birmingham area. I know obviously we've got quite a broad audience. Something that was really interesting to me that I saw that really links well to this is Birmingham City Council are just about to release some grant funding opportunities for people looking at opportunities overseas, internationally. And the grant funding is focused on doing things like, if you need to go out to that country and explore the markets to meet potential clients, if you need, to build a website or other stuff in Spanish to be able to service that market. So obviously, if you're looking at these opportunities and thinking, oh, there's some really great stuff here, obviously, number one, connect with Miriam and her team, because they're going to, be able to help you explore it more. But also be aware, for those of you in the Birmingham area, there is some funding available from the council that could potentially give you some financial assistance to explore those opportunities further. So I thought I'd just kind of throw that out there whilst we're looking at this as well.
Yeah, and I think now that you're saying that, like, if you want to explore the Dominican Republic, we can help you organize that trade mission. We can help you set up the correct meetings, advise you through through our channels with MEDEX, which is a Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We can organize the correct meetings, the right meetings for you. So one of the things, and again, I really thank Daniel and VEC. One of the reasons we're doing this is because we want to let you know we're here, and we're happy to do that. We're happy to connect you with whoever you need to be connected and answer your concerns with much more detail further down the line. So it's always, I'm always happy to have this channel to communicate that.
Yeah, well, we look forward to doing more like this in the future. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. So my final question before we wrap up. Again, one of the things that we really like to help people understand is, some advice on the way to do business in terms of how to build up a relationship in a market, because it can vary country to country, culturally. There's different ways we do business. So from the perspective of building up, strong, positive relationships professionally in the DR, what would be your kind of one piece of advice for people?
I think I love that question, because you're so right. Cultural differences can go a long way when it comes to building business relationships. I think that the main thing is to let us give you that initial guide. Having a local partner is always great, because they know the country, they're there. But it also, that's going to vary from sector to sector. The Dominican Republic, as it is a very open country. So culturally, I love it when. So I used to work for the British Embassy, something on the other side, and I always loved when people came from the UK, or Dominicans come from the Dominican Republic to the UK, because we are actually quite similar, like culturally, you know. We, that face to face, the Dominicans will always be happy to give you that initial meeting, have a chat. We're both island nations, so there is something there, you know. And I always like to point out the perception of the UK from the Dominican point of view is always like, oh, we're really happy to have that business relationship with the UK. Actually, the UK was the first country to recognize our independence back in 1848. So it's a long-standing partnership. Our way of communicating, having a drink together, having a coffee, it's actually really easy to set that relationship up. But my main advice, if you're starting to explore the country, have a chat with the embassy. That's what we're here for. We will be happy, more than happy, to give you those initial tips, who to contact. Like, you know, you always have to be aware that you're contacting the right people. So that's what we're here to do. And yeah, I don't think like taking the next step, going to the DR, exploring the country, that's something that, whether it's us here at the embassy or Pro Dominicana and Mirex, there in the Dominican Republic, will be super happy to go with you hand in hand through your process of setting business in the Dominican Republic.
Awesome. Well, Miriam, thank you so much for your time today. It's been awesome. To everybody watching, I hope you've enjoyed that. Hope you found it valuable and insightful. And yeah, I think next step is get to DR.
Yeah, no, like send me that message. I'll be on the lookout in my inbox, and happy, as I said before, to chat. I'm always open for it.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.